Hello, everybody. I want to real quick make sure that it looks like everything is working, which it seems that it is. Very happy about this. I might be able to turn... I guess maybe not. I was going to say, I guess maybe I can try and turn dark mode off. But it looks like not. So if anybody comes in here and the music is a little bit off or volume needs some adjusting, please let me know. But today we're going to do something a little different that I have been wanting to do on my channel previously and I just never have. And there's no particular reason for that, I just have never done it. And I'm going to be playing a solo tabletop RPG. So usually when I play these, I'm, doing it around the table with other people, but I have a Call of Cthulhu campaign that I'm going to be starting playing pretty soon this winter, and it got me kind of thinking and in the mood, and I've been wanting to play more solo RPGs, and I was like, okay, I don't know how I'm going to stream this, but we'll figure it out, and so we're here figuring it out. Oh, and I just made myself some delicious pumpkin chai, so if you see me drinking out of this cute little cauldron cup that I got, so cute, I'm obsessed. And I also have little tea cookies that I'm having with it because, nothing says Eldritch Horror like some tea and cookies. So today we're going to be playing Alone Against the Tide, which is a solitaire Call of Cthulhu RPG written by Nicholas Johnson and friends. So this is something I got at a game store, but it's published by Chaosium, and I have decided that I want to use one of the pre-generated characters. So this is Ellery Woods. He is a professor. He is a 40-year-old man who lives in Arkham, Massachusetts. So we'll go through kind of what his deal is, and then we'll start. So he's a white man with heavily tanned skin, dark hair, brown eyes, and a short, neatly trimmed beard. Wears a newsboy cap, which looks slightly at odds with his smartly tailored three-piece suit. Ideology and beliefs: fortune favors the prepared mind, can relate. Significant people: his old friends of the Boston Nine. Ellery may have left his days of crime behind him when he got his education, but you never really leave a gang. And meaningful locations are Boston, the city he calls home. Treasured possessions: the research manuscript he's been working on for over a year now. Ellery hopes it will win him academic acclaim. That's cool. And then gear and possessions. He has a tailored three-piece suit, newsboy cap, thin briefcase containing a research manuscript, a change of underwear, and a few essential toiletries. Cash and assets: spending level 50, cash 300, assets 30k. I don't know that we'll necessarily have to deal with that too much. I have never lasted long enough in a game where money was a thing I had to worry about too much. But we shall see. Whoops. Nope. Okay, getting weird pop-up windows. Awesome. Alright, so without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. I don't really know what I want the production of this to look like, other than I have the book here. I'll be reading through it, and we'll figure out and decide what to do together. Oh, I have to give myself my luck points. So let's see. To work out how much luck your investigator has at the end of character creation, roll 3d6 and multiply the result by 5. So I've got my d6s right here. So it's 11, which means I have 55 luck. There we go. Okay, 55 luck. So, yeah, this is a roll under system. So it is a D100 roll under. We have luck points that we can spend to alter the outcomes of rolls, but you can't do that for every single roll. So you can succeed at a failed skill or characteristic, but you cannot improve your luck score, and you can't use it to stop yourself from going insane. So And then we have our difficulty levels. We have skills in anthropology, credit rating, I guess, dodge, fighting brawl, firearms handgun, language Arabic, language English, library use, locksmith, navigate. Do I have spot hidden? I do. And survival in the desert. I guess because that's maybe where I was working to get my manuscript. This is a horror game, so there's a chance that we get some, spooky, scary stuff going on in here. But I don't anticipate us running into anything super disturbing, and it's gonna just primarily be through this text, so... Yeah, the scenario doesn't make use of phobias or manias, and if I get reduced to 0 sanity points, I'm out of the game. So they either die in a manner appropriate to the situation that caused the permanent insanity, the book says, or they run off into the woods and hills around Esbury, never to be seen or heard from again. You may begin the adventure afresh, creating a new investigator to see if you can uncover more about the strange goings-on in the benighted lakeshore town. Okay, I have 11 hit points. That's fine. We will just have to see how this goes. Alright, so our story begins in the 1920s on the pier opposite the lakeside resort town of Esbury, Massachusetts. Your investigator's reasons for visiting the town are discussed in the relevant entries. Read through the introduction and getting started sections and gather everything you need. Then when you are ready to begin playing, go to number 1. So that's where we are now. The sun sinks low on the horizon as you board the ferry headed across the lake to Esbury. As you set foot on the boat, the ferryman greets you with a wide smile and a cheerful wave. He stands by the gangplank as you pass, welcoming the other passengers as he removes his cap to scratch at his balding head. His pudgy figure fills his well-worn suit. He looks a little awkward, but he seems a rather pleasant sort. Leaving the man behind you, you take a seat toward the prow, eyes fixed on your destination. We're going to paragraph 12. You settle into a seat with your thin briefcase resting on your lap, noticing the rest of the passengers are likewise getting comfortable for the short trip across the lake. Glancing around, you catch sight of the ferryman entering the cabin. As you sit patiently and wait for the engine to come to life, you listen to the sounds of idle chatter around you. You look out across the water and notice a thin fog beginning to form over the surface of the water as the temperature drops with the approach of night. After a few minutes, you hear the engine sputter into action and feel the ferry lurch forward. The conversations around you continue as the ferryman joins you all on deck. You can't help overhearing most of the talk, though it's surprisingly banal. There are almost a dozen passengers on the ferry. Most of them are simply looking to spend their money during their weekend in Esbury and to enjoy the various shops and leisure activities the lakeside town has to offer. Many of the passengers seem to come from money, as is common in Esbury. You notice a strange look from one of the women in the group. She has a full figure and brown hair and eyes. She seems to be looking you over, admiring your features. Alright, so if you are using the pre-generated investigator Dr. Woods, take a look at how their characteristics have been assigned. We've already done that. We know what the characteristics mean mostly. It does say that this requires a copy of the Keeper rulebook or the Quick Start rules, which I have access to. Oh wait, that's not page 80, that's paragraph 80. Haha. So we'll use that if I need to. The woman clearly sees something in you that she likes. Perhaps it's your looks or a glint of intelligence in your eyes. She gives you a sly wink before turning back to her companions. You likewise turn your attention to the rest of the passengers. Sitting apart from the general crowd are 2 men in dark, well-tailored suits, whispering quietly to each other. Oh my. They have unamused expressions on their faces, as if they don't seem pleased to be here. Perhaps they're on business. Noticing that you're sitting alone, the ferryman approaches you and stands over you with his characteristic smile. You notice he's missing a tooth in the upper left corner of his mouth. His eyes are bright as they light upon you. Good afternoon. You look a bit lonely there, friend. What brings you to Esbury? Okay, so this would be the point where if I was making my own investigator, I would be assigning skill points, but it then gives you something to turn to depending on what your profession is. So if you are a professor or you have chosen to play Dr. Woods, go to 23. You mentioned the passing of a distant colleague in Asbury, and how you've been sent by Miskatonic to recover his work and bring it back to the university. The man sighs and nods slowly. You mean Professor Harris. Real shame what happened to him. Always seemed like such a nice man. Officer Powell says they're still cleaning up the mess at the professor's place, but some of the more valuable bits will probably be at the estate sale tonight if you're really wanting at it. The man looks down at his hands for a moment and then back at you as he extends one your way. Anyway, I'm Lance Sanford. Pleased to meet you, but I wish it were under better circumstances, eh? Hi, Alex. Yes, we're playing a solo Call of Cthulhu adventure today. I want to inquire about Professor Harris. I have a couple dialogue options. So I'm going to go to 27. The ferryman raises a questioning eyebrow at you. Professor Harris? I can't say much, really. I didn't know him all that well, but he seemed like a nice guy. I was sad to hear that he died. You gently press for more information about his death. Sanford frowns, but answers, Officer Powell says it's suicide. I'm inclined to believe him, but Professor Harris seemed happy enough to me. More than content to relax in Esbury like anyone else. In between his studies, of course. Ancient Indian history, I think it was. I had coffee with the professor a few weeks ago, and he talked my ear off about it. I couldn't understand half of what he said, but he was quite excited by whatever it was. You exchange a few more pleasantries with Sanford before he goes off to finish guiding the boat into port. You pass the time in casual conversation with the other passengers and in observing the scenery. You note the tall pines and the sloping hills along the lakeshore around Esbury. These features and the small town beyond are just visible through the growing mist, but squinting helps make them out to your satisfaction. In time, you arrive on the pier at Esbury, grateful to be off the water. Go to number 3. Okay. You take your first steps onto the pier with the rest of the ferry passengers, trying to get your land legs once again. The passengers still chat casually as they walk off to their destinations. You notice one last little flirty wink from the full-figured woman as she struts along confidently behind the women accompanying her, and you feel the 2 dark-suited men push past you at a brisk pace, nudging you out of their way. Sanford gives you one last wave and a smile as he begins tending to the old rust-stained boat that is his pride and joy. Delightful. The last light of the sun is fading fast, and the fog is growing thick on the water now. The night is still young, but you would rather not be wandering around in the darkened fog of a town you are unfamiliar with. Taking in your surroundings, you see a sizable crowd jockeying for entrance into a lavish, modern-looking building along the lakeside. A folding sign sits out front, illuminated by a lantern. The words "Estate Sale Tonight" are written on it in large, bold letters. While this seems to be the main attraction, you could also seek out somewhere to stay for the night and set about your work in the morning. And then it says, if you've not done so already, calculate your secondary attributes. We've done that already. Okay, so to visit the estate sale or find somewhere to stay for the night. I mean, I'm gonna go to the estate sale because I want to find my missing manuscript. I think it's there. So, pushing through the crowd, you make your way toward the estate sale. Judging by the number of people packing into the dance hall, this seems to be quite the event. Most of the people here are well dressed, with conspicuous amounts of jewelry and designer clothing on display. You see a broad-shouldered man in a policeman's uniform standing by the door. He has a scarred yet clean-shaven face and a baton at his side. His brow is furrowed in a serious expression, and he watches the commotion through narrow eyes. As you mingle with the assorted academics and collectors, you notice a few other faces stand out in the crowd. Most immediately, you spot a man in flowing orange robes with tawny skin. He seems more than a little out of place and is garnering some odd looks from the other guests. Glancing around further, you happen to notice the two dark-suited gentlemen from earlier, standing in a corner toward the front of the room, talking to a young dark-haired man in a dated yet elegant long coat. He is of a slight build and has rather sharp features. A thin wisp of a mustache hangs beneath his nose. Most noticeable, though, is the rather attractive young woman standing on the front of the room next to a bespectacled old man. Long black hair cascades down her shoulders, accentuating her pale features and complementing her formal black dress. Occasionally, she and the older gentleman peek at objects hidden beneath the white sheets, the sale items waiting to be displayed. I think I'm going to introduce myself to the dark-suited men. There's a few different options that I have here, one of which is just to leave, but I'm curious. And given that my guy used to be a criminal, he's not going to go talk to the cops. You approach the huddled group and introduce yourself to them, stating that you recognize them from the ferry. The two men from earlier appear annoyed at your presence and are visibly irritated. "Scram, man, we don't know you. You got nothing to do with us." The third man seems likewise bothered and frowns at your intrusion. They certainly make you feel unwelcome. Ignoring you in hopes that you'll leave, the two men in suits turn their backs to you. You see the jacket of each suit shift oddly, as if it's ill-fitting. Okay, so I get to make a spot hidden roll, and depending on whether I succeed or fail, will determine where I get to go. So I have to beat a 25. Nope. 52. I'm not going to spend luck to succeed on that. That would take quite a lot. If you fail, go to 40. You take the hint and decide to leave them be before they get truly angry. You turn back to the crowd and search for another distraction. You've begun gathering information in Esbury. Would you like to interact some more? You may now select another option from those listed. Do not repeat a choice already selected. Once you have chosen 3 options from the list below or before, if you are ready to move on, go to 35. Note that selecting to leave the hall will make you ineligible to make further selections from this list. Okay, so we got dark suits. I want to make my way toward the stage and the woman. Next. You make your way to the stage, navigating around the many guests in the dance hall. Your eyes lock firmly on the woman, and hers rise to meet yours as she looks up from peeking at one of the hidden objects. I guess maybe she succeeded on her spot hidden roll. Actually quite jealous. She stops what she's doing as you approach, and a smile appears on her lips as she notices that she's caught your eye. She rests her left hand on her hip as you come to stand at the foot of the stage. The old man behind her continues his inspections, either unaware or uncaring that you've come to distract them. The woman leans towards you over the edge of the stage. You can see her makeup has been painstakingly applied, despite her status as a recent widow. Wait, how did I know she was a widow? What? Okay. You clear your throat as you meet her gaze and promptly introduce yourself. She extends her hand to you formally. "Well, aren't you a new face in town?" she teases. "We get those quite a bit here. No doubt you plan to bid on some of my late husband's things." "Oh, your late husband. I knew I was going to need a notebook for this." I have a new Cthulhu notebook that I got at the book loft in Columbus. So that's what I'm going to use. So, let's see. don't know how to spell the word colleague, apparently. Oops. Good for both of us, I say. Just be sure to give a good price for little old me, all right? She winks slyly at you. You realize now would be a good time to get some more information from this woman, who might be the most well-informed regarding your interests. She certainly seems like the flirty sort and would probably respond well to more of the same. Oh no, I have to make a charm roll. 15%. Ooh, 92. Terrible. Terrible. Is that a crit in this system? I think that's a critical fail. I don't know if that's gonna matter for this particular thing though. Bonus dice, penalty dice, insanity, luck. I guess not. I mean, if something terrible was going on. Well, I super failed, so we're moving to 57. You manage to smile and stumble through a compliment, and the woman laughs. Oh my, well aren't you the nervous sort? Don't know what to say to a pretty woman like me, eh? That's quite all right. I wouldn't have you anyway. You're welcome to stay for the sale, though. I might like you better as a buyer. She winks and turns around, walking back to her place on the stage. Ooh, okay. I guess I'll mingle with the crowd of guests as my final. Rather than single anyone or anything in particular out, you feel it would be best to use your time to get a general impression and speak to multiple people to get their points of view. Yeah, because this isn't working out so great. Okay. Hearing the talk around the room, you come to understand that most of the people who are gathered here are merely treating this as a social event. However, there are a fair number of academics and collectors in attendance as well. Judging by the relative wealth of the townsfolk, you imagine that there will be a lot of bids placed on the items. While walking among the guests, you happen to notice a pair of men conversing in hushed tones. They seem to be trying to avoid being overheard, but a keen ear might be able to catch what's being said. I mean, I don't know. Listen is 20%. I mean, I guess here goes nothing. You're just bad at stuff in this system. Well, that's cocked. It doesn't matter because it was a 32 anyway. Oh, God. You strain your ears, trying to overhear the huddled pair's words, but the noise of the other conversations around the room drowns out what is said. Okay. So we're moving on to 35 now, because I've done 3 things. I have failed all of my rolls so far. Maybe we should, like, track this somehow. Let's see. Yeah, we're gonna get rid of that square that was right there. Okay. So the murmuring of the crowd dies down and people begin to gather around the stage as Amelia and the older gentleman call everyone to attention. The widow strides confidently to the front of the stage where the lights are centered. She flashes a broad smile at the crowd and begins to speak. Good evening, everyone. I'm so glad you all could make it tonight. As you all know, my husband recently passed, and, well, at this point, Amelia begins to tear up theatrically, so much that her makeup begins to smear. She produces a handkerchief to dry her eyes before continuing. Well, I'm very upset. I miss my poor William very much, and I don't know what I'll do without him. And that's why I've brought you all here tonight. I hope you can find some use for his collection, and I know that he would be happy to see his things go to those who value them highly. I hope you'll show this poor widow a kindness by finding something you like. But now let us begin. I'll leave the auctioning to Mr. Warren. With her opening statement complete, Amelia moves to stage left and allows the bespectacled old man, presumably Mr. Warren, to take center stage. He clears his throat before speaking. Tonight we have 6 very ancient and very valuable items for sale from the estate of Professor William Harris. Though exceedingly strange, I have deemed these items to be authentic to the best of my ability. I have placed a ballot box, slips of paper, and a pencil on each of the 6 tables next to the item for sale. If you wish to bid on an item, simply write your name and the amount you are willing to pay for it on a slip, then place it in the box. The item will be sold to the highest bidder. All of the proceeds will go to the wife of the deceased. With that, Mr. Warren moves to reveal the gathered items. Okay, we're going to 70. Mr. Warren approaches the first table and removes the cloth covering to reveal an odd pair of clay cylinders covered with strange etchings. They are small and seem quite fragile, with large cracks running down their sides. Mr. Warren proceeds to the next table and likewise uncovers the item in question. This one is significantly larger and more ornate. It appears to be some sort of altar or reliquary, heavily decorated with yellow-green gemstones. However, there is one similarity with the first item, the presence of the same strange written characters, though these ones seem to have been painted on. The old scholar turns to the next item in question and displays it for all to see. A decorated crown of solid bronze, wrought with the image of a Hindu god. Excuse me. The next item is certainly the most mundane. A large, thick, leather-bound journal. That's what I want. That appears well-worn and beaten with several loose papers jammed between the pages. Mr. Warren senses the confusion of some members of the crowd and clarifies that the notebook is the assembled personal works and studies of Professor Harris. The item that follows the journal is a well-preserved ceremonial robe of a Brahmin priest. The cloth is pure white. The last item is perhaps the strangest of all. It is a small statue or idol, presumably one of the many deities of ancient India. Made from a blue-green stone in the shape of a rather grotesque lizard-like creature, the craftsmanship is crude and gaudy, so much so that it appears fake. People begin moving among the items, looking them over and conversing quietly. So I get to make an either appraise or archaeology roll. Archaeology is obviously 70, so we're doing that. Whoo! Guess who just rolled 70 exactly? Exactly. All right. Finally, a successful roll. Okay, you examine the items with a trained eye. The crown and ceremonial robe are obviously authentic and typical of what you would expect. They are in great condition and would certainly fetch a good price, though they are no rarer than any other antiquity. Likewise, Professor Harris's journal seems like it would be of value to a scholar, though a few delicate cursory page turns show that it contains personal accounts and travel logs as well as historically relevant information. This is likely a good source of information on Professor Harris himself. However, the other items present are noticeably different. The altar and clay cylinders bear a similar script, and both show comparable signs of aging and wear. Given this, they are unlikely to be fabrications, but they are unlike more traditional finds from ancient India. A close inspection of the lizard idol leaves you to believe it is likewise verifiably authentic. Though the workmanship is strange and unnatural, and clearly nothing like anything you've seen from ancient India or elsewhere, it doesn't bear any signs of work from modern tools, or influence from modern styles either. Very interesting. You notice that you're not the only one looking over the items with such interest. The monk appears to be closely scrutinizing the stranger items as well, and the dark-suited gentleman from earlier seemed to have taken a liking to the curious idol. Apart from this, the various other guests wander around the tables, occasionally fixing on one in particular. There are many guests and a fair number of bids being placed. If you would like to bid on any of the items, now is the time. Okay, you will be redirected to this entry after each choice, and you may choose to bid on any number of items. Please make each choice only once, and please note that each successful bid will lower your credit rating for future bids. So we can bid on the cylinders, altar, crown, journal, ceremonial robe, or strange idol, or nothing at all. I'm going to bid on the journal. You feel that the information in the journal is essential to your interests, and you cannot help but make a bid. You place your paper with the others and hope that Mr. Warren calls your name when the amounts are compared. So we make an appraise or credit rating roll. It's going to be credit rating, because that's actually 60. And appraise is 5. Oh man, 62. I'm going to spend 2 luck points to succeed on that roll. Myself what I did. Okay, if you succeed, go to 100. You feel that the knowledge in these pages could very well prove essential to you, so you offer a price that is more than fair. Sure enough, Mr. Warren calls your name and presses the leather-bound tome into your eager hands. Reduce your credit rating by 2 percentiles. Alright, so we're at 58. I love that the PDF just does that for you automatically, the math for your halves and thirds. Go to 81. Okay. I think I also want to try and bidding on the clay cylinders. I'm really curious about that. You write a reasonable bid for the pair of clay cylinders and place it in the box. Shortly after you do so, Mr. Warren clears the box and begins checking the bids. Make an appraise or credit rating roll both at hard difficulty. Success only at or equal to below half the skill's value. So I have to beat a 29 now. Ooh. If you succeed. Okay, let's try that. Oh, 81. Big time failure. Big time failure. Though you wished to buy the curious clay cylinders, someone else placed a higher bid. You hear Mr. Warren announce the name Arthur Duncan and see one of the dark-suited pair approach to take the item from him. So manuscript is me. Cylinders is Arthur Duncan. Suit. Well, that's a bummer. Bid on the strange idol. Something draws you to the curious idol, and you feel compelled to make a bid. You notice that you're not alone in this, as the monk and one of the dark-suited men both place bids of their own into the box. You hope that yours is high enough. Oh, brother. So now I have to make a credit rating at an extreme difficulty, so I have to beat an 11. 34. Nope, that's a fail. I do not want to spend that much luck. I mean, I guess maybe I should just bid on everything that I can. Though you place a sizable bid in for the idol, a truly outrageous sum is called, easily twice what you offered. Mr. Warren squints hard at the paper before calling out the staggering price in an unfamiliar-sounding name, Banyu. Confused whispers break out as the orange-robed monk collects the statue with a look of excitement on his face. Banyu monk. What do they all want with this stuff? Alright. To bid on the altar, the crown, and the robe. Let's bid on the robe. The ceremonial robe catches your eye and you settle on placing a bid. You sign your name on a paper with a realistic price and put your submission in with the rest. You wait for Mr. Warren to call out the robe's winner. This is just a normal credit rating roll, so I have to beat a 58. Ooh, 5. Crit success. If you succeed, go to 52. The Brahmin's robe is yours. Mr. Warren spent more than a few minutes looking over the offers, but ultimately it was your name he called. Ooh. DM Chromie, thank you so much for that follow. I got the robe. What brings you on into the stream? I don't recognize your name. So if we have not yet met, hello, I'm Anna. I do narrative-based games over here on this channel, and I design RPGs as part of my job, so I'm having a fun time with solo Call of Cthulhu. So right now we're bidding at an auction for some mysterious artifacts, and I just won a bid for a robe. And I reduced my credit rating by 2 percentiles. Let's bid on the altar. Sure, let's just bid on literally everything. There's nothing that could go wrong. You decide on a fair bid for the gemstone-studded altar and submit your offer. Not long after, Mr. Warren empties the ballot box and begins shifting through the entries for the highest bid. Make an appraise or credit rating roll, both at hard difficulty. Okay, so hard difficulty is 28. 32. I'm going to spend 4 luck points to succeed. I'm spending all my luck on this. Probably shouldn't do that. Finally, you hear your name called. Your bid for the altar was found to be the highest. You are now saddled with a large and bulky item, easily the size of a traveler's trunk. Not unmanageable, but definitely more than you'd prefer to lug around. Still, it is surprisingly light considering the number of gemstones worked into the ancient wood. Naturally, these will make it quite valuable, and the strange painted scrawls provoke your interest. Reduce your credit rating by 5 percentiles. Okay. And then go to 81. Sure, I'll bid on the last thing. I'm using all my money and all my luck on an auction. So the altar is me. And who's gonna win the crown? Go to 58. You decide to place a bid on the crown and affix your name and a suitable price to a slip of paper, which finds its way into the box. You wait patiently for Mr. Warren to announce the highest bidder. It's just a normal credit rating roll, which I super succeeded at. I rolled a 6. If you succeed, go to 64. You pay a considerable sum, but the Indian crown is now yours. Me! You smile with satisfaction as you tuck the bronze headpiece into your briefcase. Reduce your credit rating by 2 percentiles. Go to 81. If you are unable or do not wish to bid on any further items, go to 16. Okay, so I already could bid on everything. Your business here is completed. You see the crowd staring covetously at the newly acquired items, and you spot Amelia looking smug and satisfied with a leather bag full of cash. Mr. Warren begins to clear away the tables while Officer Powell stands by the door and directs people out of the building and into the ever-thickening fog. Though some seem content to stay and socialize, you feel that it would be best to go bed down for the night. Amen. Go to 26. While the estate sale seems interesting, you would feel more secure with a roof over your head for the night. You pull someone out of the crowd and inquire as to where you can find a room to rent. You're directed a few blocks into town to a modestly priced hotel, a few buildings down from Esbury's police station. As you enter in from the cool night air, you're greeted by the heat of a roaring fire. The small front room feels stuffy and cramped. The bulk of the space is dominated by a large service counter, behind which sits a wiry-looking wisp of a woman. She turns her wide eyes to you and asks your name, then quotes you a price that's more than fair. With this transaction complete, you haul your thin briefcase up the stairs, unpack it, and settle into your room for the night. I just have to point out that the mental image of me rolling up to this random town motel with a brass crown. What else do I have? I have a manuscript, a priestly robe, and a giant-ass altar encrusted with jewels. And she's just like, what's your name? Okay, cool. You can stay here for the night. No big deal. Is just absolutely hilarious to me. Alright, because this is my, go to sleep for the night, I'm eating a cookie. Delicious. Okay. You wake in the morning grateful for the rest. You rise from your bed and take in the modest surroundings that make up your room. The furnishings are sparse, a small poor quality dresser and a cramped and dusty writing desk tucked in the corner. Sitting atop the desk is a plate of eggs and toast, apparently set out for you by the hotel's owner. The walls are plain and unadorned, save for a single window that faces toward the lake. However, this view is currently blocked by the incredibly thick fog, which has taken on a pale green hue. Your vision is obscured entirely, and you cannot see into the depths of that outlandish green mist. You also notice your personal belongings placed around the room, exactly as you left them the night before. Well, now that I'm noticing they're exactly where I left them, that immediately just makes me feel more suspicious, honestly. Maybe I'm just watching too many horror movies in my life outside this game. Okay. After getting dressed and eating the modest breakfast set out for you, you're ready to begin your day. You take a moment to consider what that means for you. Your mind turns to Professor Harris. If you're so inclined, you might be able to investigate the circumstances of his death further. Considering that you don't have his widow Amelia's address, except I do because of the estate sale, so what? I guess maybe she's living somewhere else. You would have to start your search with the official report filed with Officer Powell at the police station. Alternatively, you could take this free time to look through your belongings and examine any items you might have. The hotel owner has been in your room, so a check of your things might be in order. Or perhaps you have some other reason to look over your possessions. Finally, if you feel that your business in Esbury is concluded, you could always try to find Lance Sanford at the ferry. Well, I think we're going to go to the police station because even though I used to be a criminal, I think that's going to be more productive than just looking at my stuff before leaving. So you step out into the greenish mist. You feel it clinging tightly to you as you make your way the short distance to the police station. Upon entering the small brick building, you are struck with a sense of claustrophobia. The walls here are uncomfortably close together and space is tight. Crammed into the tiny structure are a large desk, several filing cabinets, and a few chairs. A closet-sized holding cell with iron bars sits at the rear of the room. Behind the large desk is Officer Powell, smoking a cigar with his feet propped up on the table. His coat is unbuttoned and his hat lies on top of a stack of papers next to a battered old revolver. He opens one eye and frowns at you, sighing through his cigar as he straightens himself up to look presentable. If you're bothering me right now, I'm going to assume this is important. You mention that you would like to see the police report for Professor William Harris's death, to which he replies with a snort, "You have no business dealing with that, and even if you did, this is my jurisdiction. Shove off and leave me in peace." He doesn't seem cooperative, but perhaps you could convince him that you have some special circumstance that warrants you looking through his files, so I have to make a fast talk roll. Oh god. I have 5% in fast talk. This is not gonna go well. It's just not, you know? Here goes nothing. Yeah, 20. I'm not spending 15 luck to succeed on that. Okay, if I fail, go to 101. You try to convince the officer that you have a particularly good reason for needing access to the file, but he simply doesn't care. "Scram, stranger, you're ruining my smoke. If you want to dig at the dead guy, go bother his widow. Her place is over on the north side of town, right next to the church. Can't damn well miss it. Officer Powell will give no more help at this time." So we can find the house or return to the hotel, so obviously I'm gonna go find the house. You walk into town towards the Harris address. Even knowing the location, it's difficult for you to find your way due to your unfamiliarity with the town and the density of the peculiar green mist. As a result, it's some time before you arrive at the Harris house. As you approach the building, a man steps out of the fog, blocking your path. Ooh! He is young and thin with rather angular features and the faint hint of a mustache atop his lip. He's dressed in a dark suit and stares at you from beneath a flat cap. You're an unwelcome surprise. I don't know what you're looking for, but you won't find it here. Your eyes betray you as you glance at the Harris house. The man scowls visibly. "Why don't you leave the poor widow alone, you creep? If you want to bother her, you're going to have to go through old Joshua here, capiche?" His hand brushes beneath his coat as if searching for something, but then he stops himself. He pauses for a moment, looking you over once more before spitting on the ground at your feet and turning away. Well, that was rude, so I can call out to him, make my way to the house, or heed his warning and return to the hotel. I kind of want to be like, "Hey, asshole, no spitting on my feet," so I'm going to call out to him. You call out to Joshua to explain himself. I mean, yeah, that's very diplomatic. Half expecting that he will simply brush you off. Surprisingly, he turns in your direction and steps toward you. As Joshua moves closer to you, you can once again make out his features, despite the fog. You see now that he is visibly red in the face and his eyes are bloodshot. He is clearly livid. His hand darts beneath his coat and re-emerges holding a Colt M1911, which he points directly at you while speaking in an agitated manner. Oh my god, this is America, even in the 1920s. "What the hell is your problem? I threaten you and you come back for more? Do you have a death wish? Leave Amelia alone. I've been about this for far too long for you to wander into town and ruin it for me." He shoves you back and levels the gun in your face, looking you dead in the eyes with sweat on his brow. He grits his teeth, panting and huffing for a second before holstering the gun and bracing himself against a nearby building. "Get the hell out of my sight. If I have to look at that goddamn face of yours for one more second, I'll put another hole in it." You see no further reason to provoke Joshua, and you hurriedly leave him where he is. I just want to point out, I was hardly provoking the man. I just was like, "Hey, explain yourself for spitting on me." I think that's him provoking me and not the other way around. So I can press on to the Harris house, or if I feel the investigation is not worth the risk and I want to return the hotel, I can do that. I'm pressing on. I'm young and stupid. I'm pressing on. Well, I'm 40 years old, but I am a man and a tenured professor, so I'm middle-aged and stupid. That was perhaps uncharitable, but oh well. Despite Joshua's urgings, you feel compelled to speak to Amelia yourself. You approach the front of the house and note your surroundings. The house's exterior hints at the wealth of the occupants, but then again, so do most places in town. Directly across from the residence is a small church whose religious iconography seems to have inspired the Harrises in the design of their own home. A bronze cross hangs over the front door, and decorative columns line the outside walls of the two-story house. All in all, the architectural style is somewhat baroque, complete with a pair of carved angels lounging beneath the eaves that are just visible through the strange haze. You knock on the door and wait in the mist for a few moments, hoping for someone to hear you. Eventually, much to your relief, the widow Amelia answers the door. She's wearing a bright red dress which accents her deep crimson lipstick, so she is clearly terribly upset by the whole thing. She appears to have taken great care over her appearance. She flashes you a smile and invites you inside. The house opens into a large foyer, and you see various crates and bundles stacked high along the walls. Just selling off a few of the more common things. Mind the mess, the porter hasn't come for it yet. She takes you by the hand to lead you past the stack of items, helping you to pick your way through the deceased Professor Harris's assembled possessions. Well, that's awfully familiar. She takes you into a small drawing room full of antique furniture and offers you some coffee. After settling in and exchanging a few well-mannered pleasantries, you ask in more detail about the late Professor Harris. Amelia sighs theatrically and looks down at her hands. I can't imagine what you want to ask about, William. I found him in his study with the... Well, there's a depiction that is very suicide-related, so it's not, gory, but earbuds out if you don't want to hear it. In 3, 2, 1. I found him in his study with the gun still in his mouth. What more could you want to know? So we need to make a psychology roll. I have a 50% in psychology. And that was a 40, so I succeeded. If you succeed, go to 126. I mean, that does seem pretty open and shut. You don't know why you hadn't realized it before. Selling all of his things, adopting such a flirty demeanor, dismissing questions about her husband's death. Amelia doesn't seem too broken up about her husband's passing. I mean, you don't even need to succeed on a psychology roll to infer that. She's hiding something. You bet your career on it. You suspect she's involved in Professor Harris's death in some form or another. You open your mouth, prepared to call her bluff and press her for more information, but you are interrupted by a loud knock at the door. Amelia jumps up startled and stands there for a moment in confusion as the pounding on the door resumes. Police, open the door! Amelia's face drains white as she goes to answer the knock. Your gut tells you something is wrong here. No kidding. You feel uneasy about the officer at the door. You tell yourself you're being irrational and on edge, but you have some trouble fighting that feeling. You have a few precious moments to react, so I can ignore my instincts and wait or take this chance to hide. I'm gonna try to hide, because I have a past as a criminal, so I feel like I would try to hide, even though I'm not stealthy. But I succeeded on my stealth roll. I needed a 20 or lower, but I got a 12. Okay. Your hunches are never wrong. Whatever that officer is here for, you don't want any part of it. Glancing around, you weigh your options. You decide to creep toward Amelia and Officer Powell, positioning yourself behind a stack of items that are waiting for the porter. Neither of them seems to notice you, as they rush past your hiding place, giving you a clear line to the door. Alternatively, now might be a good time to explore the house. While there is the risk of discovery, it's not as if you have anything to lose by snooping around somewhere you weren't supposed to be. For a brief moment, your gaze wanders to the staircase opposite the entryway. The bedrooms and study are likely up there, and you might be able to find some valuable information. I mean, yeah, I can escape or go upstairs. I'm obviously going upstairs. You turn your attention to the set of stairs opposite the entrance. You ascend the staircase and see 2 doors. One to either side of you. The door to your left is slightly ajar and no doubt leads to the bedroom. By a process of elimination, the door to your right must lead to the study. It seems to be locked and you don't have a key. With enough time, you might be able to get the door open, but it would probably be unwise to spend too long trying, since someone may come to investigate. Okay, so I can enter the bedroom, just regular, and if I enter the study, I have to make a locksmith roll, which I have 50% in. So if I fail it, I can push and roll again, but then if I fail a second time, there's going to be greater consequences. So pushing a roll allows you to roll the dice a second time. Okay, so it's just regular. I'm trying to remember how my Call of Cthulhu 7th edition works. It's probably been like 2 or 3 years since I last played this. So we'll try and make a locksmith roll, which is 50%. Ooh, 46. Yes. If you succeed, go to 108. You reach into your pocket and produce the bobby pin that you carry on you for just such an occasion. You insert it into the lock and fumble with it for a few minutes. It sticks and strains, and for several terrible seconds, you fear that it will break in the lock, and then the tumblers give and the door clicks open. Yes. You push your way into the small study and find the room much as you expected. The door opens across from a window, which lets in the pale greenish light of the mist. This illuminates the room, which is adorned primarily with mostly empty bookcases. There are also several glass display cases throughout the room, but these are similarly emptied. At the far end of the room, just beneath the window, is a desk, still littered with the professor's blood-soaked papers. Ugh. Searching through the desk drawers, you find stacks of notes and various personal items. Buried in the bottom drawer, you find an impossibly old scrap of papyrus pressed into a glass frame. All across the ancient document are strange and unusual scrawls. As you pick it up to inspect it, you notice a sheet of paper lightly attached to the back of the frame, bearing the same scrawls as the papyrus, but with annotations in its margins. Presumably, this is a translation of the papyrus text. That's good, because I only know Arabic and English. As you read it over, you marvel at the impossibility of its content. The papyrus purports to be written. Why? Why did they write this? By a priest from an unknown city by the name of Ilarnik. I'm gonna write that down because that seems like it's maybe important. In this account, the priest records observations of an odd and ugly race of beings who once lived upon a lake in the forgotten land of Nar. The document goes into great detail about the fire rituals of these strange creatures and speaks of the haunting dances they would perform in the light of the flames beneath the gibbous moon, and always under the watchful gaze of a sea-green stone idol chiseled in the likeness of a great wizard. Well, well, well. The priest's writings go on to mention rituals used to ward off the influence of that detestable creature, rituals performed by humans. The text for the ritual in the annotation is untranslated and simply rendered in standard characters so that it reads, Yahyar Nagnguli a Bokrug. The strange phrase sticks in your mind. You pause for a moment to consider the implications. You carefully detach the translation, fold it up, and put it in your pocket as evidence before exiting the study. You have learned a ritual chant. Cool. I'm going to put it under Arcane Tomes, Spells, and Artifacts. So it says to note it on your investigator sheet as Ritual Chant Entry 235. And then it says when prompted, you may choose to use this chant. If you choose to do so, go to 235. And now I'm flipping to 140. You turn around and leave the door closed behind you. Looking down the stairs, you realize that you are not alone. Oh no. Dominating the entryway is Joshua, red-faced and furious. He has a gun in his right hand, which he quickly aims in your direction. You have just a second to hit the ground before he pulls the trigger. Perhaps your reflexes are quick enough. Good gracious. So I have to make a dodge roll now. 50%. 42. I succeeded, thank goodness. Okay. There was a scenario in which I died right then and there. Just thought I'd let you have that little peek under the hood. You throw yourself on the floor with all haste, trying to get out of the line of fire. You hear the loud sound of the gunshot as a bullet embeds itself in the wall behind you. You hear a squeal as Amelia comes running after Joshua, begging him to stop shooting and put the gun away. He curses and shoves her aside, but he does holster his weapon. He rushes past her and up the stairs, just as you manage to stumble to your feet. He comes at you swinging his fist. It's not ideal, but at least with the gun put away, you have a fighting chance. So now I have to make a fighting brawl roll. 45%. Ooh, 55. That's okay, I'll just fail it. If you fail, take 1d3 damage. So we'll do a d6 rounded down. Oh, I took 2 damage. I only have 11 hit points, let's not forget. And I did survive this, so I have to go to 152. I don't like that. You are locked in a desperate struggle with Joshua. Both of you are fighting for your life. Wait a minute. Scrambling to make use of a handgun that could so quickly put an end to the conflict. Despite your best efforts, you lose the battle? Oh no, Joshua clutches the gun tightly and rams it into your chest, pulling the trigger several times and ending your life. Damn! You have met a mercifully swift death. Those who remain in Esbury will not be so lucky. You may always attempt the story again, but for now your visit to Esbury is over. The end. Ouch. I died. Well, I guess we're gonna need a death counter at this point. Death counter 1. Okay, so basically we're gonna do my equivalent of loading the save game, I think. Which is gonna be going back to fighting brawl at the beginning of this. So let's try that again. Nope, that's a failure. $23, awesome. We're save scumming the choose your own adventure. But I will say that, let's see. We've died once. So if I succeeded on that roll, which I eventually did, I'm going to 21. As Joshua towers over you, fists raised in rage, an idea crosses your mind. You pull both of your feet up and drive them into his chest. You kick him back with all your might, sending him tumbling down the stairs. You hear several thumps and thuds as Joshua rolls down the steps. When he reaches the bottom, he lays there, sprawled out and clearly injured. His groans betray his semi-conscious state, and you walk over to him confidently. With one final kick, you send him over the edge into unconsciousness. Amelia is mortified at the sight. She runs out into the street, fleeing the scene. You quickly search Joshua's pockets and find his wallet, which includes his identification with an address. A search of his other pocket reveals a house key. Several options are immediately apparent. You can continue searching the house, leave in pursuit of Amelia, or make your way to Joshua's home. I mean, I still want to search the house, but I feel like maybe I should chase Amelia. So my options are search the Harris house, chase Amelia, or search Joshua's house. There's gotta be something else in the original house, so I'm gonna go with that. So with no immediate threat to yourself, you're free to explore the Harris household, though you do so quickly in case someone comes looking. Glancing about the sitting room you're in, you find it's in a bit of a mess from the earlier scuffle. Looking toward the entrance, you note the foyer filled with boxes, crates, and other unidentifiable objects covered with dust sheets. You poke your head into the next room and find a kitchen and adjacent dining room, both spotlessly maintained though sparsely furnished. Peeking beneath the dust sheets in the entryway, you find various items of furniture and decor, as well as stacks and stacks of books. Many of them are historical texts and reference materials, some of which were written by Professor Harris himself. There is also a large number of general works of science and literature, as befits any well-educated man. You place the covers back down, sensing that you will find nothing of value here. You turn your attention instead to the set of stairs opposite the entrance. You ascend the staircase and see 2 doors, one to either side of you. The door to your left is slightly ajar and leads to the bedroom. The door to the right leads to the study. So we're going to the bedroom because that was the area that we hadn't seen, and I don't want to dilly-dally. You push aside the door and enter the bedroom. The room is lavishly decorated and very feminine. Large soft pillows sit atop the bed, and a tangle of sheets and blankets lies strewn across the mattress. Judging by the state of the room, this space belonged more to Amelia than it did to Professor Harris, even before his death. The room is dominated by her personal effects. A makeup case sits on the dresser with a hand mirror beside it. The door to the closet is open. The racks inside overflow with various dresses and fashionable outfits. The clothes belonging to the late Professor Harris take up a small and innocuous corner of the closet, pushed far to the side so as not to get in the way of Amelia's things. The most surprising find you stumble upon is a small pile of discarded men's clothing next to the bed. It seems to have been left there recently, and given the difference in style and size to the men's clothes in the closet, it's clear they don't belong to Professor Harris. Your suspicion is confirmed when you see a photograph of Joshua on the nightstand. Uh-oh. There is also a half-empty bottle of whiskey there and 2 glasses sitting next to it. You also happen to notice a safe built into the wall just behind the nightstand. A combination lock keeps it sealed, though if you are so inclined, you may be able to crack it. There is little else of interest in the room. So I can try to open the safe or leave. So clearly I'm going to try and open the safe. Oh my god. I rolled an 82, and I needed to roll 50 or lower. You fall to your knees, press your ear to the safe's door, and begin twisting the combination dial, hoping to hear the clicks of the drive pin connecting to the tabs on each of the lock's internal wheels. Unfortunately, dramatic music, you can't quite manage to get the wheels to line up properly, despite your best efforts. Defeated, you rise up and dust yourself off.
If you want to... Oh my god, Nim! Nim, you got here just in time. We're about to raid out. Welcome. Hi. Welcome, everyone. If you want to keep hanging out, come hang out in the Discord.